Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk. I'm your host, Vaj Unique, and today is the second part of the ABCs of the Big D. Beware of denial and be true to yourself. Okay? Now, the last show was all about A, which we said stands for awareness, right? Because you have to be aware to even know that you have a problem, right? Okay. So, so which I focused on, and what we said was, is we said A stands for awareness, which I focused on because a lot of people don't even know that they were clinically depressed. Okay, for one. All right. Remember, statistics stated that bridges2recovery.com said that 800,000 of them die from suicide worldwide every year. 800,000 people die from suicide worldwide every year. Also, that there are 300 million people living with depression and only 10% are treated. Now, remember, that's why I had already started with A again, like I said, because you have to be aware. Okay. And today's episode is basically a follow up on that because you have to be true to yourself and you have to be aware of denial. You can't be in denial because if you're aware, and then if you're aware of it, and then and you deny the fact that you're even aware of it, you can't take control, right? We can't solve the issue. Okay. So now we also covered that depression actually is and what the symptoms are and how to tell the difference between normal grieving and sadness, apart from being clinically depressed, right? Which is basically feeling sad and grieving for long periods of time, which was over the 2 week mark, right? And you had a certain loss of wanting to do anything that brings you pleasure or happiness, you know, as well as consistent thoughts of trying to kill yourself or hurting others. Okay. And and the point that I was making is because a lot of people out there, when they're depressed, sometimes they don't want to even hurt themselves. Sometimes these people are just looking for attention. They want somebody to try to understand them and express, and they feel alone, isolated. Um, left out. You understand? So it's really hard, right? It's really hard for some people because they are shy. Part of the depression is that they're shy. They're soft spoken people. They don't know how to basically, I would say, I don't want to say not speak up for themselves, but they're real timid. Okay, and they keep things in. And these people also tend to have more of a depressed manner to themselves manner. Okay, and that's just because of a character or a persona that they were taught that they are afraid to express themselves for whatever reasons may be because they're afraid to be hurt or afraid of others is going to make fun of them or you understand things things of that nature, you know, because um because they're soft spoken. That's usually the reason why they're soft spoken. Now, what I'm going to do now is read, basically, since we were talking about it, the actual Webster's dictionary, right? Webster's dictionary specifically says that it's a mood disorder that is marked by varying degrees of sadness, despair, and loneliness, and that is typically accompanied by inactivity, guilt, loss of concentration, social withdrawal, sleep disturbance, and sometimes suicidal tendencies. Okay. So that was basically what we were just covering, right? And then we went deeper. Um, for you guys that didn't listen to the last episode, I had web pages and got information from webmd.com, also the Center of Disease Control, because to prove the point that depression is a real disease and is treated, and it's on the website of the Center of Disease Control, the CDC, its website. Okay, so this is why this is a main thing why people have to be aware. Okay, and like I said, that was the last show, and I'm stating it because we're recapping right now, and that is the main thing why I'm even doing this whole process, and I'm doing it 3 times, and they're all basically going to deal on the same topic because I want it to be instilled in your head as well as mine and others that we need to understand that this is a real problem. This is a real disease. It's a real mental sickness that we can't see, and we're trying to help each other notice it in ourselves and in others around us, right? Because we want our family members and our loved ones to be able to know this, and we want to be able to help them if we see them in need. You understand? So we also went through various types of treatment, and we say treatment because of what? Because depression can be treated, but it cannot be cured, right? So for all y'all who just joining it today, um, on WebMD and other sites that we were using, it stated that that depression cannot be cured; it can be treated. And one of the main reasons why, just to recap, is because sadness is an emotion. It's not wrong to grieve. It's not wrong to be sad. It's not wrong to be upset when you lose somebody. That would be stupid for anybody to say that to anybody when they lose a loved one or they lose a job or you do something that really bothers you personally, because we all have different needs and different wants and aspirations, what we're trying to achieve in life. And when we don't get those things, that makes us upset. We might feel like a failure. We might feel like this. We might feel like that. But sometimes those feelings are there to drive us, not to really bring us down. Okay, and that's why the definition that we read when we discussed earlier is when you let these feelings affect you emotionally and when they affect your life. When you stop wanting to have pleasure in life, you don't even want to have pleasure, and then you want to just stay in the bed and sleep, but you're not even sleeping. You're just laying in the covers. You don't even want to be sociable. You don't even want to go out. you know you want to hurt your things, and these are for when you have these feelings and these thoughts for long periods of time. Regular grieving, there's nothing wrong when the people die close to us. You're going to think about these people for the rest of your life. You understand? With true people that you care about and true people that you miss. Okay, it's things that's what makes us as people, and we evolve as human beings, as celestial beings, because we're still beings in outer space, on this rock floating in outer space. We're human beings because that's what man has labeled us. We give things labels, but we're celestial beings. Everything in this universe is part of our DNA, down to the molecules and irons and zincs, and the chemistry of the world is inside of our body. So um, it's just everything has a purpose, and we're here, okay, to help each other. So for one, you have to talk, and we have to listen. Okay. Um, the type of treatments that they said, because it's 2 types that I really like the best, which was depression, which was talk therapy, right, and the self help. Okay. Now remember that the other 2 therapies were shock therapy. Not just only is it shock therapy, it's shock therapy while you're asleep, and the other one is medication. I repeat, and like I said, we we read these off of, like I said, the Center Disease Control, and you guys can Google this yourself. Treatments for depression, and the 4 that they mostly talk about are self help, talk therapy. That's why you have a therapist, or known as a shrink, but you can talk to anybody. That's why they have hotlines, your BFF, or whatever you want to call it. And then the others are medication and shock therapy while you're induced sleeping. Isn't that crazy? That's crazy. So I'm recapping and I'm emphasizing because I want you to really realize how serious, and for the new listeners, how serious this uh problem is. It really is an epidemic because how society is set, we're all set to where if you don't succeed, you're a loser. If you don't dress cool, you're a loser. If you don't have a good job playing, getting paid a certain type of money, you're a loser. You're struggling. So they already, from the time that you come out the womb, having you shoot for a certain lifestyle or a certain criteria, how society and the culture is constructed, believe it or not. Okay. Now, now when I stopped on our last show, we're pointing out the things that are common for men and women that trigger depression in all of us, right? I also said that depression affects us all, men, women, young and old. So now we're going to point a few things out for the youth and the elders because I have a few I don't think that we all think about. Okay. So I talked about, basically um, what bothers us, the basic things: losing loved one, weight, how we look, job, money. You know what I'm saying? Feel like you don't fit in, don't feel like that you are where you're at in your life. So we talked about all these universal things that we all get depressed about, right? And we talked about some that men get, you know, dep- depressed about, and some that women, because we also have the universal ones, and then we have ones that we get depressed off of as being men, and women get as being women. Okay. And the whole thing is that we have to realize this and understand this, and then we see it on the outside. It's up to us to speak. And if this person, if whoever you're trying to help doesn't want to speak to you, we have to make sure that they're getting the right attention. That's what we're going to call it. Okay. Because a lot of times it comes down because that person is not getting the proper attention that they need. Right. And that's one of the things that that does it. So we have to make sure, just on GP, that means on general purpose, just we have to be nicer to our loved ones. We should be nicer to our fellow men regardless. And that's another thing why we are in this society always uptight and stressing. It's because we're always constantly competing in this capitalism society, which it is. Um, but it is what it is, right? So we have to help evolve society and ourselves. So this is why we talk, and hopefully, the more we talk, the more we each one teach one. Men sharpen men, still sharpen steel. We teach our seeds, and they're on and their fourth. It slowly progresses into something greater, like this country and the world was built, right? So, for instance, with the youth, we forget that at certain points of their lives, they're experiencing all these things for the first time still, right? Right, especially those emotions during puberty, and a lot of these emotions are even hard to handle as adults. You know what I'm saying? Because we're adults, and relationships and things of that nature are even hard for us to deal with. So we have to realize that we get cocky and we talk and we like, well, what's wrong with you? Why you ain't listening? But we forget that they're experiencing this for the first time. These are new emotions for them. These are new feelings for them. These are new situations that they're putting their self in, and they're learning and trying to adapt and evolve themselves, right? So so we have to understand that, and adjust to that, right? And adapt and evolve with them to that, and understand and help them. And because once you realize that mentally, you're like, oh, you know you're going to automatically come at it a different way, as if you're coming at it having a conversation with somebody who you figure already knows what's going on and already, understands the way of the world and how things work. You know what I'm saying? And has had these feelings before, right? And know how to deal with these feelings. But we got to understand that our kids, our nephews, our youth, the kids on the street, when you see them and they get in certain situations, they're learning how to deal with life, and we forget that. So all I'm saying is, we do teach our kids, and and I have grandkids now. So just to let you know, this ain't somebody who's up here talking about kids and doesn't have kids. My oldest is 26 and my youngest is 22, and they both have kids, what makes me a grandfather, which is crazy. But that's what happens when you start having kids early and you have your first kid at 17. You know what I'm saying? You don't look like the average paw. Right? But now, matter of fact, just bringing that up just to say that now some people that be my age, you know what I'm saying, it would be like, damn, they probably want to get super depressed. I mean, I thought about it, I was like, damn, man, I'm hella old, that's life or whatever. But you got some people that get majorly depressed off of that. Like, hey, man, it's another thing. I'm getting old I got kids now. All of a sudden, I got grandkids. I'm only in my 40s, and usually when you think about grandpa, you get the picture of the old man with the gray hair, you know what I'm saying? Old, whatever. You don't think it looks like me. but yeah, I got two, and I love them both. You know what I'm saying? My son had a son, and my daughter had a daughter. So I ended up getting the both of both worlds again. So so sometimes we know that the youth, you know, they don't want to talk to us, right? But they will, as long as you be persistent. As a parent, we have to persist, be involved from the very beginning. Then they want, then they want to speak to you. You know what I'm saying? Then they want to speak to you, you know, and then they feel more open. And again, you have to be more open too. I'm not saying that, you know, you tell your kids every bad thing that you did or whatever, but you got to understand, like I said, all these kids, they're still learning these emotions new. You still got to let them understand that, okay, I'm a human being. I'm a human being. I've been a kid. I wasn't perfect. I got in trouble too, you know, but I'm trying to teach you structure, you know, so don't get mad at me like I'm just, you know, like this overseer. Is sometimes why they feel like they can't talk to you or they don't want to get in trouble or things of that nature. Like my parents talked to me one time. My mom told me, she's like, you can talk to me about anything, you may get in trouble or whatever, but if it's something very important, no matter if you're going to get in trouble or not, you need to tell me the truth and I'm going to be in your corner. You understand? So there's some point to where you need to have that conversation with your kids or with your nephews or with somebody who you really care about. When you want them to understand that point. If you are, I don't want to say like an overseer, but if you're an auntie, an uncle, parent, or whatever, you somebody to get them in trouble, or or whip their ass or ground them or something. So kids are worried about getting in trouble. They worried about parents finding out about things that they do, but you need them to understand when they have serious problems or things that's mentally bothering them at school or whatever, that they need to talk to you about it. And you need and it's better to start it off right now when they're young, because as you do it when they're young, they'll do it when they're older. So always try to talk to your kids and be there. And like I said, they're still gonna get to the point where they get teenagers and they want to rebel or whatever. But if you build that type of rapport, when things get serious, they're always gonna come talk to you. Okay. So we have to figure that out. And like I said, the main thing is gonna be is if we make sure that we remember that the things that they're experiencing are for the first time. And you gotta let them understand that you had to experience those things for the first time. And that you are a human being. It's kinda like, it's like somebody meeting their first their first crush, meaning like their first star crush or whatever like that, or mentor. Like, you don't want to say you think they're Superman or whatever, but they failed a thousand times before they became great. I want you to understand that. Like some people are born with natural talent, but they still have to. Some still have to cater to that gift, and then some is just naturally gifted, where we say just naturally blessed. But still, you have to cater to whatever your gift is, to whatever your calling is, to whatever it is that you're trying to do. And that's the same thing if you're trying to help somebody. Once you assert yourself, you have to assert yourself, y'all. And sometimes you may have to do it yourself, analyze it yourself. Because, like you said, the number one thing, that one of the number one treatments is self help. And these self help things, too, I don't know if I remember that I talked about, are like exercise. You can exercise, talk to your family members without having to go pay a shrink. You understand what I'm saying? Find certain hobbies that help you not think about day to day stress. Because people don't understand stress is a major factor too to the depression. If you're constantly stressing, you're constantly unhappy. You should always be striving to be happy and to make yourself happy. Okay, people, stop just waking up, going to work, and you're paying all your bills. You're being responsible, but don't forget to try to make yourself happy. That means you still have to do the things that make you happy. Okay. If you're not shooting to be happy, if you're just shooting for money and things like that, you're really not shooting to be happy. You got to think of it like a date night. You trying to woo woo your boo thing, right? You set up everything right in that mood, from how you dressing to how you smell to what movie you're going to watch, what music you're going to put on, what type of lighting you're going to have. Think of all these things that you do to make something happen. So you have to be that way and that meticulous about everything that you're trying to do. And what do you call? I'm trying to set the mood, right? But you just had to. I just said you had to do tons of things to make what one thing happen, and that's normally how things are in life in general. And once you understand that concept, things help. See, a lot of, a lot of people don't understand that. Sometimes our way of thinking. That's why a lot of people read self help books. I like to read self help books, philosophy books, and things of that nature, because a lot of people don't understand is your mindset has a lot to do with how we think and how we perceive things, right? And sometimes we got to break away, like I said, from the culture and society, how they mold us, and when you seek knowledge, you understand more every day. That's what people talk about. People walk around dumb, deaf, and blind. What they're talking about is the knowledge and wisdom and understanding, as that's where that saying comes from. People are walking zombies right now, which is a metaphor for zombies. Are what our brothers and sister the Jewish community, OG rabbis would say, they're golems, your cattle, because all y'all just following in line with things, and then you're not thinking about it. Everything is as a decision being made for you, but you think you're making a decision yourself, but you're being coerced to make these certain decisions. And sometimes it's based off of where you come from, your culture, your surroundings, just in your society. Right? Right? So so if we start being more open and letting them know who we are, and what we do, and that we're regular people too, and you've been a kid too, they start to want to talk about more of their problems. Okay, and we also have to remember too that they do need companionship from people their own age as well. Right, right. Besides intimate relationships, but still need attention from home. Right. They still need attention from home, as well as support with the choices that we let them make on their own. Don't don't give your kids choices, people, and then when they make the choices, you know your choice is wrong, and you change it. That's going to be the number one thing to where they're not really going to want to talk to you. Okay, and 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 because they're going to be like, okay, well, you act like you let me say my piece, right? And then, like, on a regular, your kid can say your piece, but whatever the parents goes. But now when you let them make your choices, that's something different, because you're telling them, I'm gonna let you make your decision. Now what you're supposed to do from when they make the decisions is you can give your feedback from your wisdom on the decision, but you still need to sit back and let what needs to happen from the decisions that they make, if you understand what I'm saying. Because they have to learn from their mistakes. And then if they don't strive for anything, they don't adapt and evolve as individual human beings. Like I said before in the other episode, is that we have to remember that it's their life, right? It's like we didn't want our parents running our life, right? So that's why I said we have to remember and put ourselves back in that mindset, when we're dealing with our youth, when we see that our youth is upset and, things are bothering them, and, things may be changing them, right? So a lack in any of these can cause depression in a kid, as well as the ones for men and women. We already know about relationships, but what about friendships? Or being that new kid in school in a new area where everything is different because of the change of the demographic area. Now, I don't know if you guys understand this, and and demographics. What we talk about, like in marketing and business, is how when you do marketing, each area has something different. Like for instance, if you were going to open up a Subway, right, and you were from America and you're about to go open a Subway, say somewhere in the Middle East, right, and somewhere in the Middle East, where they're mostly Islamic, or Hebrews or things of that nature, where they don't eat pork, because it's not only just Muslims that don't eat pork. Okay, um, right. So you're not gonna sell salami sandwiches at your Subway, right? You're not gonna sell. McDonald's is not gonna sell a McRib, and then a McRib in the Islamic McDonald's. Just to say, if it was a McDonald's over in the Middle East in a commercial section. You understand what I'm saying? So demographically to that area, you wouldn't sell those products. They may be majority predominantly older folks. So you're not going to advertise youth products in that area. You understand what I'm saying? It's more women in that area. So we're going to advertise more feminine products in that area than men products. Kind of like how homemaking commercials come on during uh, work time between the 9 and 5 for the housewives. Okay, that's something that, like, anybody that had, that did the classes, broadcast, and the study of film and things of that nature know what I'm talking about too. The Psych 101, or even advertisements, just like the radio station. There's more people in the car when it's time for them going to work and driving from work. So that's why they have certain commercials at that time, and it's demographically to the area of an age group from 18 to 35, right? Maybe 25 to 55, right? These are all demographical things, right? So if you come from a demographical area where everybody wore cowboy hats, jeans, and boots every day, and your whole wardrobe is cowboy jeans and boots, and your ass move up here to the Bay Area, excuse my French, to one of these schools, you know, you might not get the same attention that you were getting when you were down still in that area. You understand what I'm saying? That's what demographic area, because the demographics of this area, people ain't into farming and bull riding and things of that nature. You understand what I'm saying? You can go to certain parts where you can meet people like that, but on the average is what I'm saying. Demographically, you wouldn't find that up here in Northern California in the Bay Area than like you would in the southern parts of the United States. So basically, that's what demographics is, and sometimes kids have to adjust to that, which we don't think about. Being adults, after you grow up, we go from here to there. It's just not being a new kid. It's like, okay, well, I can adjust being a new kid, but I don't even like none of this stuff I'm surrounded by. They have to adjust to that. You understand what I'm saying? From music to clothes to even how people talk, right? Because we forget we got different accents, different slangs, that mean different things. Like, bad meaning good, right? The old school Run DMC. Not bad meaning bad, but bad meaning good, or we would say that's fat. You know what I'm saying? PHAT, you know what I'm saying? Meaning, like you're not fat, but that's fat, that's dope, that's fresh, that's, you know what I'm saying? That's bumping, that's dope. I mean, you might say that's dope around somebody. I'm like, oh my God, you're talking about doing drugs. You understand what I'm saying? So you have to understand the demographic of the area. Like some people don't understand slang, what they call now the street ebonics, right? So we have to take all these things into consideration. And like kids deal with this more so than we do because now when you get older, everything's on a professionalism level no matter where that you go. And it's usually when we mingle, people are always from all parts of the world, because they grow on and they venture off into the land. And like I said, we have to remember that these kids are dealing with things for the first time, dealing with new things, especially if you're moving, right? So that's what I said. Like I said, they dress different, talk different, think different. This can be hard for anybody, but it's harder for kids because they don't have the experience yet. Period. That's the whole thing. When you don't have the experience yet, it's harder for them to deal with. And that's one thing that we don't deal with as we get older. You evolve and you adapt, and you're really on building your character on who you're supposed to be and who you're going to be and who you're going to become, right? So that's 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 just basically the truth on that, right? So they deal with certain situations without getting their feelings involved. So we should pay close attention, right? Pay close attention. Now the next is divorce or parent separation. So make sure if you're going through that, both of you need to talk to your kids, right? So so that's a big one, right? especially especially if it doesn't happen when it's young. When it's young, when the kid is young, I don't want to say it's more easier, but it's more easier for the kid because the kid really doesn't even really know both his parents fully. I mean, he knows that the parents is there, your parents love it because you have that instinct. But if you get taken away from your father at a young age, like a lot of moms do, right? If it's some situation, because some moms like you have to stop using your kids as weapons. If you have a problem with your man, then that's the problem between you and your man. Stop using your kids as weapons. If he's a real good man to his kid and he takes care of his kid, let him see his kid. If he's a good for nothing, then whatever he deserves, whatever he gets coming to him. And I was like that because I got a daughter, and I took care of my kids since I was 17, and I was always taught to take care of your responsibilities. You feel me? And because I never met my biological father, but again, at the same time, it wasn't his fault. I used to think it was his fault until I found out my mom was, one of the, women. A lot of women, what a lot of women do, they do to get back at their man when they're having a problem with their man. If the man, he might have been abusive, he might have been this, he might have been that, but you still shouldn't take away a relationship with that kid and their father unless let the father ruin that, and then he's whatever you say he is, right? But don't make all these stories about him, talk bad about him, and never let the kids see his father because then you're just brainwashing your kid, right? So you give them their relationship. Period. That's a personal feeling. As long as they there and they there to take care of their kid or whatever, like if a man shouldn't be abusive to any woman. You're supposed to be true to a person if you're in your relationship or whatever. Ain't nobody's perfect. You feel what I'm saying? But I know women have the issues, just like men have issues for not messing with women. But usually, majority of the time, the women have control over the kids, and a lot of women use kids as weapons. Stop using your kid as a weapon because that's another thing you don't think about the problems that you have down the road. And like I said, I've never met my father, and I used to think about till I became an adult, and I found out what real relationships were. I found out what happened. So just remember, at one point, you can be telling your kids all these lies, but they're going to be grown at one point in time, and they're going to learn how to read. They're going to learn what relationships are really like, and then they're going to learn how to put one and one together. Remember that, people. Your kids grow up. We all remember the little stories and everything that we were told and things of that nature. So I want you to remember that. Our kids grow up. Our kids leave the house. So be careful what you tell them because then when they leave the house, they go what? Into the real world. So that's why I always used to try to tell people, like my mom used to tell me, boy, hey, this is what the life is like, but your ass bet not. That was the bet not theory. Yeah, this is what's going on, and then this is the world, but you bet not, or I'll whoop that what, right? So, because that's the real. Because then when you experience it, you know that it's out there, you know how to deal with it, and then you don't feel like, oh, my parents are liars. So you got to remember, this is what your kids is thinking. Like this is their learning experience, and then this is what you're teaching them. You're showing them, oh, I'm telling you this at house, and then when they get into the real world, they're like, oh, well, either my parent is a square or my parent is lying to me, right? So the next one I want to talk about. Well, before I get up the next one, like I really want, like if you divorce, both of y'all need to talk to your kids. You still need to let them know that you love that each one of y'all love them, that it's still gonna be all right, and that y'all still a family. It's just how it is, right? But like I said, as long as you nurture the relationship with the father and the relationship with the mother from both sides, it's gonna work out. Like I said, my stepfather raised me since I was 2 years old. I mean, we really didn't get along, but I gave him the respect as being my father. Right? Right? And they always been truthful to me, telling me, that he was my stepfather. Okay? So think about it. Your kids can take a lot, just as long as you be truthful, you know. Okay, so anyway, the next one we all hate, but it's new to kids. It's when they notice how they look, that their body changing, or it's not changing. The friends physically changing first. Some kids reach puberty faster than others, and then sometimes this causes problems. Right? Causes problems with others, and then it also causes problems with themselves. Right? Somebody gets taller, somebody gets faster, bigger, swinging, chick bigger boobs, hair first, thicker, and she only 12, getting teased on by other girls. Like, 'cause sometimes people think that people want to, automatically start looking like that. But like I said, you got to remember all these emotions and all this attention is brand new. Man, when they be getting attention, they still thinking like a little kid getting attention from some older ass dudes, right? So we got, like I told you, we got everybody. We got to put ourselves in the mindset. Then it really ain't the dude's fault because she overly grown, right? Once you find out, you need to back away. But at first, it's not his fault because she looked grown, and then she's out here dressing grown. You know what we call them, dressing grown, making yourself look, or to show off your features. Because the society tells these girls that they got to dress and look a certain way, and these outfits are starting to be made for younger and younger girls, right? So dudes like everybody else growing tall, 6 foot, 6'2", getting hella bulky, and dudes like he ain't sprouting for the next 2 to 3 years, and he feel like everybody's giants around him. He feel like he about to get bullied and frail and broke when we have PE. You understand what I'm saying? So it's things that we don't think about, that we need to really pay attention to. You know, now this has been one that I have seen my whole life. I'm so grateful my parents really wasn't this way. And I've already spoke on it. Please, people, remember it is not your life. And I pause and I really want you to think about it. It is not your life. We want the best for our kids. Yes, we have to parent them, because when you parent and when you're parenting, you're really counseling. But in the end, it's their decisions. When you force somebody to do, it's like I used to, I'm not going to get real big into it. It's kind of like religion. Like a lot of people are born into religion. They really don't truly, excuse me, truly understand religion until they get older and started reading. And then that's why some either go away from the church and then come back, or probably go to another denomination. But a lot of people are in it because they were born in it and then they were taught, but then they still at some point have to gain the faith themselves. And sometimes it doesn't come from a long time when you're made to do it, because I always believe that your faith is something that you have to choose yourself. Okay. But We're not going to talk about that. That's a whole nother discussion. But we're talking about in general. But like I said, that could make somebody depressed. Is that if you're forcing certain things on them and they don't feel a certain way too as well, and they see that their whole family is doing it, and now they feel like I'm the odd one because my whole family does it. So you got to remember though that our kids and the people who we trying to help, remember that they're Luke Skywalker and we're Yoda, right? You're there to be the wisdom and to help them achieve their goals. And even though Yoda had all this power, he still made Luke learn everything for himself. He made him experience and learn it and know it for himself, because that is the only true way that we all learn, right? Most of the kids that get pushed like that get pushed away. They can't even wait to leave the nest. They can't wait to go to college. You're going to be a doctor. You're going to be a lawyer. They're like, okay, well, I'll take that, but I'm going to take that to somewhere, a school that's halfway across the country where I can get away from you, where I don't have to talk to you or whatever. Or whatever. And then they graduate, and then they really only talking to you once or twice every 2 months, once a month, never coming back because you're consistently on them. And I know that's not what you want. You want the best for your kid, but you don't want your kid to be pushed away. You don't want them. Oh my God, I can't wait till I'm 18. I'm just gonna join the army so I can get away. Oh, me and my partners. As soon as I hit 18, me and my partners, four of us, we gonna get a house and we getting up out of here. Because even though we know they're 18, you still don't want them to leave the house yet. You still figure like they're young and you want to make sure that they got everything down, right? Like I said, you talking to a parent, you talking to a pawpaw. So I ain't just talking. I ain't just up here whistling Dixie, as my uncles used to say when I was little. Because my family originally from Louisiana. I'm from Cali. But you don't push your kids away. Then it's just the responsibility of life, which we forget. That seems like a lot. Think about it, you're a toddler, then you're a teen, then a young adult, then all of a sudden you have to suddenly figure out what I'm doing for the rest of my life. Am I going to college? I got to get a job. I gotta figure out how to just take care of myself. Cause some parents, hey, y'all just out here when you 18. And then that's not their fault because they was brainwashed or probably made like that, or that's how their family treated them. So you got some kids who really got that type of pressure. So be careful, people. Like I said, if you can help somebody, see somebody depressed, and see somebody who needs somebody to talk to, just point them a certain way because you don't know, you know what, what they're going through. And then there's the elders or seniors that there's all the above that makes them, you know, depressed with things. But the ones that we're not familiar with are like not being able to take care of themselves like they used to, being treated like a child, not being able to do the things that they love because their bodies won't let them. Not having any family or never have any family coming to visit. Because you gotta understand, some people are really old and they really don't have no family because they're so old. Either they all passed away or at some point they all did really move away. And then you got some who feel like they've just been there and left about, and that's wrong, and they should, because if you put your family member in a home, you should be at least visiting them 4 to 2 times a month, either once a week or twice a month at least, and at least calling them once or twice a month. I mean, nobody's that busy. You call them right before you go to sleep, or you go see them, what I mean, on the weekend, not just their birthday, just to let them know that they're not forgotten. We're all going to be old one day, so think about that. If we're blessed, and if we're blessed to be old, do you want to just feel like you're? Because it's not just lonely; they feel isolated. You know, it's like being isolated because nobody's coming to see them. Nobody's talking to them. Right, right. And then you have the fear of death, which we all are afraid of. Are you just lying to yourself? Right? Because you know that they're closer as you get older, and you're already blessed to make it to your golden years. You realize that your mortality is coming. to an end because men's bodies get frail from gravity, so they say, right? I ain't seen no gravity suits, but to slow down gravity, but gravity, so they say. But but may we all be blessed to die of a super old age and a beautiful dream after a great day. Okay? And I'm gonna say that again because that's quotes from me personally. May we all be blessed and die of a super old age and a beautiful dream after a great day. Whatever that may be to each person, a great day. Because remember, everybody's perception is different. Okay? Don't forget about our elders. Okay? That will be us if we're blessed to see it. So treat them how you want to be treated after putting yourself in their state of mind. Talk to them, call them, or even better, video call, because now we got the FaceTime in the chat. It's just like almost getting to touch you and see you. All right? You don't have to do it every day, like I said. At least twice a month, at least. If you can't do it once a week, twice a month, and give those calls, Um, and if you're close, like I said, a lot of people put you in, like I said, in the homes when they're close. You should at least be visiting them at least twice a month. And I always talk to my mom, even when I was never around. I always called my mom, talked to my mom, and then when they got sicker, when I took care of them or they went into to the homes, I went and seen them at least once a week when they got sick, because I was there, and then they came to the point where I had to take care of them. So I've been through it all. But when they were in the homes, I went and visited them. I didn't do it every day, but like I said, I at least went and seen them once a week. Okay. My grandmother, we took care of my grandmother till she passed away, and then when my grandmother stayed by herself, I went and visited my grandmother all the time. Loved my grandma, my light skinned grandma. I never used to trip off how my mom and my grandmother was so two different shades. Like I said, my family's from Louisiana, we Creole. My grandmother was high yeller, how they would say it. But yeah, just having a brain for it, just thinking about some. But yeah, and we all fear death, so don't forget that that's big, right? We all fear death, whether we like to admit it or not. Okay, the great beyond. Okay, so that's what it is. And for my elders, I want to say, like, there's things out there. Like, if you really don't have family, okay, if you can't talk to somebody, and if you can still move, you can still mingle. Join all. If you're in a home, join every event that they have, because there's still other people who've lost all their family members too, or are moved away. They have programs. It's called one of the programs is called. Let me see. Let me find it right here. It's a Big Brother program, right? And it's for seniors. It's Family Service Agency offers seniors the Big Brother and Big Sister experience. Okay, and successful. They talk about successful aging, um, support with caregivers, people with Parkinson's and things of that nature. Center for Successful Aging is I believe, another name for it. And uh, this would be very good for those without families and families who's far away, and they really just need somebody to talk to more than the nurse or shrink. And you know, programs like these are perfect. They come by, they'll bring you food, they come by, kick with you, sit down with you, you know, take you out. Everything is, real companionship to get, and it really will have somebody, to talk to and really feel like family. So again, it's called Family Service Agency offers seniors the Big Brother and Big Sister experience. Okay. And these programs, I'm pretty sure, are everywhere. And now that's the beautiful thing about technology. Technology is always a double-edged sword. But one of the pros is that you can get information as soon as you type in those buttons. So all you have to do is Google senior programs or programs for seniors in my local area. And guarantee you a lot of free programs will pop up. And then when you have programs like GVRD, things of that nature, that usually every city and every little town has as well. And they're usually free, especially for seniors. They're usually free or cost a little bit of nothing, or you know, usually elders are on some type of senior program to where they get it for real low or free again anyway. Okay, and the same thing with medical help. Okay, you can always ask your doctor. That's supposed to be the person that you're really 100% open with. So I hope if you do have doctors and you're blessed to have medical coverage, be 100% truthful with your doctor. It's another person not to be in denial with, so they can 100% help you the way that you need to be helped. Okay. Um, so those are one of the things as well. Okay, so don't forget about the programs, the free programs is out there, and start to get hobbies. People, like I said, if you're a senior and you still get to move around, find hobbies. Find hobbies to keep you busy, and that's for anybody, even stressing out with depressed. When you have too much time in your hands, find hobbies, find things to do. Hobbies can turn into money, and hobbies can turn into something greater. Okay, just remember that. That's how a lot of businesses were started, just from people doing hobbies. Okay, and then, like I said, there's a gang of programs just like the one I just talked about. Okay. Let's not forget to not be forgotten. Okay. And that means is if we show how to treat our elders, we will be treated the same way. And I hope you understand that, because you make it as a tradition. Like, you ever understood how certain cultures, sorry about that, people who are looking at the video, so I had to make sure we didn't die. Uh, Certain traditions like Latin and Asian community, Middle Eastern communities, they all really still take care of their elders. Like, you see the whole family with their elders, and the elders are still part of the home structure and the home community, and are taken care of until they pass away, until they're gone. That and that's a cultural thing. The cultural thing over here is, oh, your parents get old, oh, it's too much to take care of, too much time and money, throw them in a home, and then let the home think about them and worry about them. Hey, it is what it is when you got to tell the truth, right? This is all about being truthful and not being in denial, right? That's what we on today, right? Being true to ourselves and beware of denial. And you're not going to get that with me. And it's just the truth. So America needs to step up like the rest of these cultures who already know that we need to start taking care of our elders and not abuse them either. Yes, we turn back into babies, but let's not treat them too much like babies, and let's not bully them and take advantage of their incomes, their money, or things of that nature. Okay? We will all be old one day if we're blessed to live and not die from the shit happens clause of life. Right? Right. So, which brings us back to the youth and the generation, because I'm talking about generation and passing everything back. So, which brings us back to the youth. The world is not going to end because Tommy or Jessica broke up with you, or you have no friends, or you think you're ugly, or your whole life is ending, and it's not. As long as every day that you wake up and every day that you can breathe, you have a chance to make it, and a chance to change your life, change your outcome, and to change your future, people. Period. Every day that you wake up, you have a chance to change your situation. Now, it doesn't happen overnight. We want it to happen like that, but it doesn't happen at a snap. It is something that you have to work about. Remember when we first started this? I said when you have to set the mood, what you had to do a whole bunch of things. Right? You take the shower, you pick the right clothes, you pick the right smell good, the right food, the right light, the right music, the right movie. You do all these things to set the right mood. You got to do all these things to do anything that you want to achieve in life. If you're trying to make a better life, there's things that you have to put. A lot of things that you do to make one thing achievable, right? So it's the same thing with life. Okay, kids, life is a learning and constantly evolving situation. The older you get, the better you will get at it. Period. These feelings never go away. You always are going to experience emotion. We just have to learn how to deal with them. Don't be afraid to talk to your parents or to your BFF. Don't be afraid to talk to a counselor. Okay. There are plenty of hotlines. All right. Plenty of hotlines. Here's one from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, SAMHSA. Okay. And they got one for substance abuse and mental health service administration. Right. They got a national hotline all the way from alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs to opioid overdose, harm reduction, behavioral health treatment and services, behavioral health treatment service locator. So even if they're not near you, they'll help you find some in your area. Disaster distress hotline for people who've been in disasters and lost their home from tornadoes, fires, hurricanes, floods. Um, Mental health and substance use disorder. Okay, suicide prevention, early serious mental illness treatment locator. Remember, because I told you, if you're aware, you can find it before it actually becomes a real, true problem. Okay, and there's more, right? And that's just one. Here's another one. It's called mentalhelp.net, depression hotline number. Okay, and again, that's mentalhelp.net. Okay, the other one, suicide hotline and helpline information, DBSALLIANCE. Okay, dbsalliance.org. Suicide hotline and helpline information. 24 hours. It's 24 hours, people. There's always somebody here for you to talk to and get help if you need help. Okay, suicide prevention lifeline.org. Suicide prevention lifeline.org. And talk to somebody now. And a lot of these programs are strictly free. And they have a couple of numbers. They have a chat lifeline that you can chat and start chatting with people. Like this is the future. So there's all other things. And then for my people who are watching the video, this is the site. You see everything that's on the site. That's why I'm scrolling. There's another one. Here's the top 10, and these are paid services. Basically, if you want to pay for a shrink, and really talk to somebody, and they can do it from a video, phone, live chat messaging, unlimited messaging. So these are all the different. Now, all you got to do, again, people, like I said, just how I find all this information. And then there's another one that I didn't talk about too, that in young adults. Um, if they're what's the politically correct way to say it, they might not be heterosexuals, basically. They might like their own genders. Okay, and that's another thing that a kid has to deal with, and they have counseling that for that too. Like right here, it's called Proud Pride Counseling, but I'm guaranteed you can get another one for free if you call GVRD, if you call the mental health. Usually in the phone books, they used to have a list back in the day. I'm old school, but they have a list of all the of psychiatric, I believe, hotlines and things of that nature to talk to. I used to have all the little local emergency numbers in the phone book, like right in the front. Okay, that's old school. But again, all I did was boof. I hit Google, and this is where I get all the things from. And all I typed in depression hotline numbers, and then you can type in depression hotline numbers in the area, right? And then it'll pop up again showing you everything what's in your area, right? BetterHelp.com, right? So all these hotlines and things of that nature are already out here for you, right? And if it wasn't such a disease and a big thing, it wouldn't be this many. So this is why I want people. I want you guys to pay attention to each other. And then if somebody tells you that they're always sad and they're always down and they're always out, then seems like they're always depressed. So you need to we need to understand and see what's going on, right? We need to be open and we need to talk to each other. You know, when things get hard, just talk to somebody. Parents, teachers, friends, hotlines. There's tons of hotlines, man. If you're religious, talk to your church. The churches usually have somebody who you can speak with, counselor, and you got to remember that they're a hold to just like the doctors that they can't tell your parents or anything of that nature. If you don't want to tell your parents, then you need to talk to somebody else. Okay. And a lot of times, with the people, what you don't understand is a lot of these counselors, some of them, not a lot of them, a lot of these strings they go to college, but a lot of these other ones, counselors that went and got certificates and everything, went back to school, had some type of form of addiction, depression, or something themselves, and this is the way that they give back, and they become counselors and psychiatrists, and you know, things of that nature. You understand? You're only helpless if you don't seek help. That's the main thing I want all you guys to realize. You're only helpless if you do not seek help. Okay. And like I said, I just showed you that there's a lot of things around, right? Now, people, that's the ABCs of the big D. And today is B, to be true to yourself and beware of denial. Awareness means nothing. If you find the problem and don't do nothing to solve it, okay? Are you in denial because you don't believe it's happening to you, or you don't want to believe that it's a family member? Depressed because you feel that you two live the same life and you think life is grand. And that's what a lot of people forget. Like, life is grand, right? If you think life is grand, but then your mate is over there saying that life ain't grand, then it makes you like, oh, wait a minute, well, why I'm over happy and my significant other is unhappy or my kids are happy. And I think I'm giving them the life of, a life of their dreams or whatever. Because you got to remember, sometimes you have to talk because what makes you happy doesn't necessarily always make the next person happy. Okay. And that's what we make the mistake as people. We make the mistake that we make the everything about us. You know, your perfection is not the next person's perfection. That's why beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? Meaning that an individual's perception is to that individual. We all see things differently, right? And by us seeing things differently, that means perfection is only to an individual. Our perfection really doesn't exist because we all see things differently. My perfection may be a ice cold lemonade, while your perfection may be a ice cold Coke. You understand what I'm saying? It's that simple. So there really is no such thing as perfection except what's perfect for the individual. Okay. And then we can't blame people for being depressed and hold it against them. Okay. And I'm sorry, and I'm pausing. And I know people, I'm stretching this out today. I tried to keep it just to an hour, but I want to make sure that we get this across and I'm going to be done and we get out your hair. But people, excuse me, are depressed all the time, everywhere. 300 million, 800,000 kill themselves. That's the average, 800,000 a year. 300 million are clinically depressed, and only 10% are treated. So when we see them, we can't blame them. Oh, why are you not hanging with your kid? Why are you not doing this? Instead of blaming them, we need to say and watch how we approach them. Because when you approach people in a negative manner, it usually comes back in a negative way, and sometimes we don't even realize that we're approaching people in a negative manner with our tone and our body language. Because you forget people listen to your tones and your body language. Words are just words, right? It's what they say, how they say them, in the context of the meaning, right? We should be helping people that are oppressed, not blaming them for being distant and not wanting to do things. We should be talking to them, trying to figure out what triggers their depression, right? Even if it's something that we might be doing. That's what a lot of people fear. Don't run from the truth or problems. The truth will set you free because now you will know how to deal with the problem, no matter the outcome. We also forget that things are also constructed by culture and society. So, what we feel are universal normals are good and evil aren't the same in other cultures and societies. Okay. For instance, over in the East, like Islam, people don't eat pork. Like Buddha, Hindus, and even Hebrews, which are Jews, don't eat pork. Some don't eat beef, either because the cow is sacred in their culture. Okay, there's even I think it's a passage in the Bible. I think it's Exodus 32. I think verse 1 through 6. I wrote down in my notes. Um, but the culture perceives it in a different way. You understand what I'm saying? So therefore, we love pork. Pork is on damn near everything. Ribs, every fast food hamburger joint has a breakfast sandwich with pork sausage this, pork sausage that, pork ribs, pork, pork, pepperoni pizza, pork products, pork in like you'll be surprised what pork is in cookies, drinks, like when you really want to get into to the ingredients, really breaking down what the ingredients are, like you'll be surprised. Um, that's why a lot of people only eat when they go buy stuff. They go buy stuff that says kosher. Because even like beef hot dogs have like a pork casing on them or something like that. But culture perceives things in different ways. And some cultures get to have more than one wife, right? Over in America, there's nobody, ain't no woman going around. You ain't having no five wives. Get that out your head. Better go to sleep and dream about it, and then wake your ass up. Right, right. It's not happening. But in parts of the United States, what it was, Utah, we call that polygamy or whatever, but it's bigotry is one of the dudes, but it's legal for them to have polygamy or something like that because I hope I'm saying that right. Um, because of the religion that they follow, and it's legal in that state, but in any other state in the United States, it's illegal. But what I'm saying is, to those people, it's all right. But to us, oh, that's evil. Oh, that's male chauvinist, being a chauvinist, a male chauvinist, or that's degrading. You feel what I'm saying? That's breaking a law in some states. You'll go to jail for having more than one wife. You understand what I'm saying? But in some cultures, it's okay. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because you have to understand that people are from different worlds, different backgrounds, different cultures, and different societies. And like I said, and sometimes that is the strain on people, and that's what brings people stress, right? But our government would have us believe that only Muslims have more than one wives, right? That only Muslims don't eat pork. And that's a way that our society makes us look at that all Muslims are the enemy, and that's why we today we have the freedom of speech and the freedom of mind, and they have speakers to tell you that all Muslims are not that way at ISIS, because true Islam is freedom, justice, and equality. If y'all read your history, part of the government was built off of that. So, but that can be another topic. But Google it and go find it out. But these were perfect examples for me to show the concept. that we're talking about, that the things that are perceived differently by people, cultures, and societies, as well as religion. Plus, all these things can cause stress and depression trying to cope and keep up or make you feel like you're doing something wrong or not living right. Right? This is certain things like people who come from religious backgrounds who have to deal with homosexuality. And they're religious people, and the Bible does state in the laws of Moses that a man should not lie with men or even animals. Like they talk about a lot, but and that's an old concept. So, and that's what I want people to let you understand. Like they talk about homo, homosexuality in the Bible, so it's nothing new, people. For one, all right. So, and then if you learn the history about Rome and their soldiers, you guys would flip out about some of the architecture and the sculptures that they have and the philosophy of their soldiers loving each other so they would fight harder for each other. Google that, the homosexuality inside the Roman soldiers. Um, and and then you have it's all about the samurais too, the lady boys and everything that goes back all the way back to the samurais. So understand your culture and understand things are not new, people, that we're talking about. Things have been around, they've been in politics and been around for years. Just remember the Bible and so are stories that have been recorded and kept going for over 2,000 years. So just remember that. um okay, again, these things are feelings that come down to an individual. So talk and really listen to what they're saying, especially if we don't know their background, religion, or where they're from. Because all these things influence us as beings are different from each one of us. Again, because where we come from. So be true to yourself and your loved ones in their time of need. If they want to talk to you or if they won't talk to you, point them in the right direction. And don't make it an issue because they don't want to talk to you. That just pushes them away more. Okay? When you make it an issue because they don't want to talk to you. Because then you're forcing them. You don't want them to feel like you want them to talk to you, but you don't want to feel like they forced to talk to you. You want them to talk to you because they know they can talk to you, and that you sincerely want to be there to help them and to help coach them. Okay. But the main thing is that they discuss it with someone who's really trying to help them. Okay. Now I've talked about a few hotlines. I've talked about a few programs. I'm kind of lazy when it comes to the typing, to putting them in the post where I post my podcast and everything like that. That's why I say everything out. I started shooting little video recordings of them, showing the actual sites that I was on. Um, so I'm gonna try to get that out there, but I'm gonna try to get better at that. Um, so that's my promise to you guys, that I'm gonna try to get better at actually putting up the hotlines. But like I said, feel free just to Google depression hotlines, and multiple will pop up. Programs for seniors and teens, and multiple will pop up. All right, but be true and be aware of denial. Let's read how it affects us mentally and physically. Okay, I think I'm gonna pick that up. Um, well, we'll read about that. We're reading because, like I said, I've already stretched it out a little bit. So I told you I'm about to let y'all go, but but I want to read just a little bit of this information. How denial helps and hurts us being aware of being in denial. Because people don't understand it. Like anything else, it's like an emotion. A denial has um, a purpose. Okay, it's just like being afraid. Being afraid is to make you aware that danger is around. Okay, it's when you let that fear overcome you it's when it becomes a problem, paralyze you, let somebody run up and slap you, and you don't do nothing. What they call a deer in the headlight effect, where you could have ran, picked the stick up, made a telephone call, did 100 things before this person even came near you, but you just stood there, shocked and fear, and you stood there. Okay, so that's that's what we're gonna talk about. Um, um, so let me just go to it. I'm gonna go to it because I really want you guys to um, have the full just. You know, I hate to make it run long, so I try to keep it for an hour. But after I read this to you, I'm going. This is from the MayoClinic.org. Okay, this is from the MayoClinic.org, and this article is on adult health, healthy lifestyle, adult health denial. When it helps and when it hurts. Denial is a coping mechanism that gives you time to adjust to distressing situations. But staying in denial can interfere with treatment or your ability to tackle challenges. Okay? Now, there's a whole article on here, understanding denial and its purpose, when denial can be helpful, when denial can be harmful, right? Moving past denial, when a loved one needs help moving beyond denial. Okay. Now, you know what? I'm going to stop right here because I think that it would be good to start off with that. But when it helps and when it hurts, denial is a coping mechanism that gives you time to adjust to distressing situations. So really, denial job is not for you to be stay in denial. It's to be like, oh, wait a minute, this can't be really happening. Like, are you serious? No, but it is. Oh, damn. Okay. All right. Well, let me figure out what needs to be done. That's what they mean by adjusting. You get it? Not. Oh, I mean, no, oh, no, no. Fuck that. No, you know. Excuse my French. You don't know what you're talking about. I don't want to hear it. And then you stay in that attitude when you know it's true. That's true denial. But everybody gets a form of denial at the very beginning. But you know what? I'm gonna let you go. I went 18 minutes over. I was gonna do a whole. I would go a full half hour over if I just read this. So we're gonna start off the next show, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening in and tuning in to the episode ABCs of the Big D Part Two, which was being true to yourself and beware of denial. Okay, we're gonna go over. We're gonna start off with this article on the next one next week, and I'm gonna keep it to an hour. All right. So, but I like to make sure on this situation, especially this situation right here, um, that it has to go in depth. And and again, like I said, I just it just needs to be aware. Because like I said, I've been fighting depression, like I said, for a little over 10 years, and I know how it is, and I've been there. Okay, and like I said, and evidently I'm gonna still be there because it can be treated, but it can't be what? It can't be cured. So we have to constantly work on ourselves and work at life. Okay, I'm your host, Lodge Unique, and this has been another episode of Let's Talk. Appreciate you, and we're gonna see you on the next one. All right, all right.